I am nothing if not overly ambitious about the amount of things I can do in a day. That is one of the things that has led me to compassionate productivity. It's one of the things that has led me to simplicity, to minimalism. And one of the center stages on which I see that over the top amount of ambition take place is in my morning routine. I think I first became aware that my expectations for my morning routine were a little bit over the top when I got my first full focus planner from a boss. He had gotten it as a gift from somebody, I don't know, like boss thing, and he wasn't going to use it. So he gave it to me because he knew I love planners. And I was so excited to get it. I had my eye on one, but I hadn't really pulled the trigger yet. And so I got it, and I filled everything out. I filled out these annual goals, these goal details, so many goal details for so many areas of life. And then, they just keep going. And then I filled out these calendars, and then I got to this page that was daily rituals. And I started with the morning ritual, which is, your morning routine. You're supposed to write down what you want to do in the morning and then the allotted time that you think it was going to take. And I wish I still had this to show you, because my first one was 3 hours long. And no shade on you if your morning ritual or routine is also 3 hours long. That's great for you. It was too much for me. I know myself, and I know that if I have a little bit more time where I could be sleeping, I'm probably going to be. Combined with the fact that at the time I made this 3 hour ritual, I had a lot of revenge bedtime procrastination going on. And so I had this 3 hour morning routine filled with good things. I think I had an hour workout on there. I had breakfast on there, and I said, it probably is going to take 30 to 45 minutes because sometimes I have to cook it. And I had good things like reading for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, all these things that I'd either done as part of my morning routine at some point, or I'd heard somebody say that it was a good thing to include in your morning routine because, of course, this is the most important part of the day. I think that a lot of us fall into these traps. If you've consumed any productivity advice at all, you've heard things like, the best part of your day is the morning. You are not going to achieve anything if you don't get up at 5 a.m. And the fact is that getting up early works for a lot of people. Sometimes it works because they're morning people. Sometimes it works because they're not morning people, but the world is kind of built for early risers who can sort of start their day, get some things going, get some momentum going, and then be on time and ready for whatever their workday holds. But even though that's the norm, you don't have to be an early riser or a naturally early riser to be successful. There are so many writers throughout history, if you study them and their routines, that were not early risers at all. If you look at Gertrude Stein or J.R.R. Tolkien, their preferred wake up time was 10 a.m., maybe sometimes later. Today, there's also articles online you can find about a lot of Silicon Valley executives who get up later than standard. They're getting up at 9, they're getting up at 10, whatever. I found one article that says that Pharrell Williams gets up at 10 a.m. and then follows that by a long shower that he uses for creativity. And I was I always knew I liked that guy. However, it's very rare to find people or articles or really anything celebrating late risers. And I think that that's for two reasons. The first is the one I already mentioned, where the world is sort of geared toward early risers. And the second is that even though I just named a bunch of successful people who rise late, and I could keep naming more, their lifestyles do not seem attainable for the average human being. Most of us have schedules we have to keep. We have employers who expect us to arrive at a certain time. We have family obligations. And so a 3 hour routine, if you're not the kind of person who's going to get up at 5 a.m. and you know this about yourself, is just not realistic. But the unfortunate thing is that since I gave up on my 3 hour routine, I basically had no routine. And I think that that is also causing me a disservice. So my mission today is to create a morning routine that actually works for me And just full disclosure, I have not tried this routine out yet, but I have been thinking about it. And so I'm going to walk you through my process of how I'm going to be putting it together so that hopefully it can help you simplify your morning routine too, to make it something that's actually going to work for you. So here is how I would normally plan this. I would normally do something very similar to the process that Full Focus laid out here. I'd write down, okay, get up. That always takes me a few minutes. So I'd be like, okay, 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'd say bathroom. This is probably TMI, but let's just be honest. It's going to happen. So 5 minutes. I'd say, okay, then what do I want to do after I go to the bathroom? Well, then I'd say, my devotions. Okay, cool. That's 30 minutes. And so on and so forth till I get to breakfast or brushing my teeth or whatever I decide the last thing is going to be on my day. And then I would go through, they have these nice little things here so that if you forget something, you can just sort of go through when you're done and number things. So this would obviously be 1. This is probably going to be 2. But then if I decided devotions later was going to be 5, I could, write some more things down and just sort of fill in here, right? So we are not doing this today. I've tried this already. I'm already at 40 minutes here just with getting up, going to the bathroom and doing my devotions. And I do need to be able to do my devotions. I do need to be able to eat breakfast. Those are the 2 things that tend to fall by the wayside when I don't have a routine. And they're both very good for my mental and physical health. And so my goal here is to, first of all, have flexibility in my routine. I know that that is sort of an oxymoron, but it's really important for me because there are days, Saturdays, where I have more time to take care of myself and sort of get myself ready for the day. And I want to have an idea of what I would do in an ideal situation like that. But I also need to have a very quick, well thought out plan that I can just go and do between 30 to 40 minutes on a day where I've slept in and I really have a lot of things on my plate and I need to get going. We're going to ditch the paper planner, which is not my usual mode of operation. I'm a little nervous about it. And we're going to head over to Canva. I'm going to screen record and sort of show you what my new morning routine planning is going to look like. And I'm doing this online just because I feel like it is the quickest and most visually pleasing way I can do this to show you, probably the most readable as well. But if I were just doing this and not recording it, I think there's a pretty good chance that I would pull out a sketchbook and do it on there. So if that is your thing, feel free to do it by hand. Okay. And then basically what I like about this option is that over here on the left, I have my everyday routine. That is going to take me, oh yeah, I added 5 more minutes to do that. So we're going to add 10 minutes for devotions. So, okay, this is going to take me 40 minutes if everything takes the amount of time that it takes. I think it's actually quite possible that brushing my teeth, washing my face, I think that takes 3 minutes usually. So, I can use a couple of minutes there to do a few more things on my devotions or take a little bit more time on breakfast or whatever. But generally speaking, I think that this is pretty trim while still being realistic for all of these things. And so on a day where I've overslept, I just need to get up and get going, but I still want to follow my routine so that I feel grounded for the day and I'm still doing the things that matter to me. This is it. Over here on the right, I have some extras. These are things that I like to do in the morning, but that I don't necessarily always have time for. And sometimes I confuse these extras with things that I'm actually wanting to be doing every day. So I don't need to do my makeup and skincare every day. I'm not in a world where I need to do my makeup every day. And so even though I like to do that, sometimes I'll do that and then they'll be like, wow, that took so long. I guess I'm skipping breakfast. And that's not how I want to treat myself. And so now I have these sort of things lined up. The second thing is I have some additions over here where I'm like, okay, if I have extra time, I can do these extras. I can add a new thing to my morning routine today. If I have an hour, I can add a new thing to it, or I can just take extra time doing the things that I'm already sort of doing over here, right? So washing my face, instead of doing that, maybe I'm going to shower. All in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I do want to go over here to the Elements tab on Canva and find some little stickers to put on it. But other than that, I think I'm done. So Yeah, I hope this helps. I think that if you are going to do it yourself, here's how I would approach it. Sit down, make a list of everything you like to do in the morning, and then highlight the things where you're like, wow, like to take care of myself, I really need to do these. Then make your everyday routine like I did and think about like if you could do it and still accomplish it, but get it done in the least amount of time possible so that you can move on with your day. How long would you take for that? And then add all those other things as like extras. And as you're going through that list, you may find that some of those things don't even need to be on this list. Like for example, on my OG list from like 4 years ago that took 3 hours, I had working out for an hour on my morning routine. I also had like an additional, 15 or 30 minutes of reading. As I think about those, I'm like, I'm better if I do those later in the day. I'm more engaged. I'm more excited about them. I'm a lot faster at both of them. And so I'm just not even going to try to do that as part of my morning routine. If I want to do that in the morning, I will do that after the morning routine is done. So think about that as well. And then you will have your nice little simplified morning routine that you can actually get through on a regular day. And then of course, if you wake up and you have to be out the door in 5 minutes, like you're not doing any of this anyway. So now I'm just going to decorate and then we're done. Oh, and I almost forgot, but if you are interested in using this template that I used on Canva, I will make sure that I share a link to it in my video description so that you can use it as a starting point. So I hope that helps you simplify your morning routine. If you have made it this far in the video and you are getting ready to simplify, let me know either what your experience has been with morning routines, whether you love them, whether you hate them, whether you wish you had one but don't, and also like what ends up on your everyday routine, like the things you absolutely have to do in order to get started with your day. And if you liked this video, I'm going to put a link right here to one of the videos that I actually think is underrated on my channel right now. And it's about how to practice gratefulness if you hate journaling. So I hope that that helps you as well. And I will see you in the next video.